All right, guys, so we talked about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. Now we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing rational numbers. We're going to break it down between fractions and then decimals. So we're going to start with fractions. So we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, the first thing that you have to know when you multiply or divide fractions, there's a couple steps that you have to take into account. The very first step is always convert any improper fractions. Just kidding. Not convert any improper fractions. Oh dear. Erase that. We all make mistakes and it's okay. Always convert any mixed numbers. Got ahead of myself. Into improper fractions. We have to do that first. Okay? That's just something that we have to do to make our lives a little bit easier. So you're always going to convert any mixed numbers into improper fractions. So that's the first place we want to start because I know sometimes that can cause a problem. So let's talk about it. So if I give you 2 and 5 over 7, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply the denominator by the whole number. So you're going to go from here to here, and you're going to multiply. Once you get that product, then you're going to come over here, and you're going to add that with your numerator, and then it's going to sit right back down on your denominator. So you're going to do 7 times 2, which is 14. Then you're going to add that 5, which is 19. And then it's going to sit right back down on that 7. So you start with the 7 and you end with the 7. Okay? So 2 and 5 over 7 is the same thing as 19 over 7. All right, let's do another one. Let's say I give you, I'm going to do this one because this one sometimes throws people. I'm going to give you a -3 and 1/5. Forget about the -4 right now. Don't forget that it's there altogether. In fact, if I were you, I would take this negative and I would draw like a little line and I would go like this and put it over here to remind myself that it's still there. But it doesn't come into play right now. Okay, it comes into play over here. If you put it into play right now, you're going to mess yourself up. So we're going to say, all right, so we've got 5 times 3. So 5 times 3, which is 15. So we're going to multiply these two. We get that product, which is 15. We're going to add it with the numerator, which is 1. So that gives me 16. And then it's going to sit right back on that 5. So here again, we started with the 5. We end with the 5. So it's a -16 over 5. So -3 and 1/5 is the same thing as -16 over 5. Okay? I hope that makes sense. You're literally doing a circle. So denominator times whole number, that product plus the numerator, that sits on top of the denominator. Okay? So that's converting a mixed number into an improper fraction. Once you've done this, then you can take care of your multiplication or your division. So this is the first thing you have to do, though. Am I saying you're going to have to do it every time? No, not all the time. But if you do, this is the first thing you have to do. Okay? So that's that. So we've converted those. So we talked about that. And there's some little videos that I've embedded in your Google slide with your practice work that you can watch again. You can always come back and look at me do it again. So there's plenty of different things for you to look at if you forget. All right, so let's talk about multiplying. So when you're multiplying, you literally multiply the numbers straight across. And that's literally it. So if I give you, and I'm going to go ahead and give you converted fractions right now. So if I give you 5/3 times 2/5, you literally multiply straight across. So 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, when you're doing this, anytime you're dealing with fractions, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, it doesn't matter. You always have to ask yourself, okay, and this can be like one of those little bubbles. Here, we're going to draw a person. Here's our person, okay? And we'll give it curly hair since I have curly hair. All right, here's my thought bubble. Is my fraction in simplest form? Is my fraction in simplest form? That's what you have to think about, because if it's not, you have to put it that way. So if your answer is no, then you have to make it that way. And in this case, it's not. So I have 10 over 15. Some of you can tell me right off the top of your head what goes into both 10 and 15, and you can reduce it and you're done. And that's awesome. I am very excited about that. Some of you, on the other hand, need a little extra visual aid. So what I like to do is I like to break my numerator and my denominator down into its factors. So what does 10 break down to? It breaks down to 2 times 5. What does 15 break down to? It breaks down to 3 times 5. Now, do you see anything that happens both in the numerator and the denominator? Is there any number that shows up both places? Yes, the 5 do. See that? There's a 5 in the numerator and the denominator. Guess what we can do? If you see a number that's the same, it has to be the same. In the numerator and the denominator, those cancel each other out. So if those cancel each other out, then they're gone. So what's left? 2 over 3. So my final answer is 2/3. So 10 over 15 reduces to 2/3. Okay, so that's one example. Let's do another one. Let's say that I give you negative 7/4 times 2/3. Okay, negative 7/4 and 2/3. Again, we literally multiply straight across. So 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 3 is 12. Now, sign rules. And I used to say this all the time in my classroom. I would say, sign rules, and I had a big chart in the front of the room, and I'd point to it. If I look here, I have a negative, I have a positive. When I'm multiplying, remember, if one's negative and one's positive, my answer is always, and I hope you're saying it with me, but it's always negative. Okay, so negative 14 over 12. Now, think back to my little person. Think about my person over here. Is my fraction in simplest form? If I look at this, some of you can automatically say, no, Miss Long, it's not. And you'd be right. And you can probably tell me what it reduces to. Some of you, you're like, I don't know, Miss Long. Well, that's fine. Break it down. So 14 breaks down. Don't forget your negative, though. 14 breaks down to 2 times 7. 12 breaks down to 2 times 6. Do you see a number they have in common? I sure do. It's right here. It's that 2. Those 2's are gone. So that leaves me with, don't forget the negative, negative 7 over 6. Now, here's where another little person comes into play. Here's another little person. I don't know who this is. This can be one of you guys. I don't know. Here's another little thought bubble. Can I leave my answer as an improper fraction? Can I leave my answer as an improper fraction? What do y'all think the answer is? I hope you're all saying no, because the answer is no. Okay, you cannot. So now we've got to convert this improper fraction back into a mixed number. So we got to do the opposite of what we did earlier. So I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've got negative 7 divided by 6. I'm not going to worry about the negative right now. I'll put it in my final answer. But right now I have 7 divided by 6. So that means the 6 is on the outside and the 7's on the inside. How many times does 6 go into 7? 1 time. 6 times 1 is 6. When I do my subtraction, that leaves me with a 1. So here's what I like to do. And I had a chart that showed this in my room too. Y'all just don't know. I had a chart for everything in my room. My room was covered. You couldn't even see a wall in my room. Okay? Whatever you get up here, however many times this divisor goes into this number right here, this will be the whole number for the mixed number. Okay? Whatever's down here, whatever your remainder is your numerator. And then the divisor, whatever you're dividing by over here, is your denominator. Okay, so those are your 3 pieces of your mixed number. So, 1 is my whole number. Let me adjust my camera a little bit so you can see me. So all of this gives me 1. Don't forget your negative though. So I have 1 is a whole number. 1 is in my numerator. And 6 is in my denominator. So negative 7 over 6 is the same thing as negative 1 and 1/6. Okay? All right. Now, we'll have some more practice with this when we're doing the division of fractions, which we're getting ready to do. So don't stress out. Just get it copied down. We're going to do some more with the division because you'll have to do it there too. Just one step at a time, one step at a time. And you can always come back to this. And then, of course, if you need more examples, you can always let me know, and I'll be more than happy to give them to you. All right, so that's multiplying fractions. Now, dividing fractions is almost identical to multiplying. There's just one little piece that flips on us, literally. It literally flips. So when we're talking about dividing fractions, okay, you're going to convert any mixed numbers into improper fractions, just like we talked about already. Then, once you're done with that, I'll tell you what, let's do this. So we're going to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. Then the second thing you're going to do is you are going to flip the second fraction and multiply straight across, just like we did a minute ago. Okay? That is literally the only difference, is we have to flip that second fraction. Okay, so you're going to flip the second fraction and multiply straight across. That's the only difference between this and multiplying. You have that one extra little piece. So if I give you 2/3 divided by 5/4. I already converted the mixed number for you. So this part's done. So the next part is I'm going to flip this. So you're literally flipping it upside down. If you could take this fraction off the board, you would take it off the board and you would flip it. So it's going to be 2/3. And instead of 5/4, it's going to be 4/5. And then we're multiplying. And you go straight across, just like we did with multiplying fractions. I told you it was almost identical. We just have this one extra step. You have to flip that second fraction. So now we end up with 2 times 4, which is 8, divided by 3 times 5, which is 15. Now remember our little people with their little thought bubbles. Is this in reduced form? In this case, yes it is. 8 and 15 do not have anything in common. So that is your answer. Okay? And you didn't have any negatives up here, so we don't have to worry about that. So 8/15 is your answer. Okay? So that's that one. I'm going to erase it so I don't have to go so far down on my board and move my camera a lot. So that's that one. I'm going to erase the check mark. So that's that one. Now let's look at another one. And this is one where you're going to have to do a little bit of other stuff. So I'm going to have negative 7/6 divided by negative, I wish y'all were here to give me numbers. Let's see. 3/2. Okay, now remember, this first one doesn't do anything. It's boring. It doesn't change. It's stagnant. Okay, so it's just negative 7/6. The second one, we have to flip-flop it. So it's now negative 2/3. And then we multiply. So we multiply straight across. So we have 7 times 2, which is 14, divided by 6 times 3, which is 18. Now, don't forget about your negatives. A negative times a negative is always positive. So it is positive. Now, is this in simplest form? No, it is not. Those of you that can give me what it is, you go right ahead. Those of you that have issues, break it down into its factors. This is 2 times 7. This is 2 times 9. What do they have in common? They have that too. Cross it out. So your final answer is 7/9. Okay? All right. I'm going to do a small video as like a little insert into your lesson on converting improper fractions back into mixed numbers because I'm out of time on this video. But next time we'll be looking at multiplying and dividing decimals. So look in your actual lessons. There will be another example video of how to convert improper fractions back to mixed numbers. Okay? We'll see you next time.